All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Jewelry Resellers podcast. I have a very special guest, Lauri. I am so thrilled that you are here. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad you invited me.
Yes, yes. So, I guess maybe we should start with you introducing yourself, and then we can even talk about how we met and how this all came about and all the pretty stuff that we're going to be focusing on in a bit.
Absolutely. So I'm Laurie London. My online stores are MyEZ, the letter E and the letter Z, MyEZVintage. Then I have a brick and mortar store in Seminole, Florida. And I've been in retail for 47 years. So
Wow.
I've been doing retail for a while.
Yes, and you've kind of done all aspects of retail, correct? And but now you've kind of moved into like the jewelry and vintage space.
Yep. I always did clothing and accessories. I've been doing it since the late 70s. So the jewelry kind of is my passion, and it's the kind of thing later in life that you could commit yourself to, because earlier you're really moving and shaking, and now I get to play with jewelry all day. Do what I love.
Yes, and that's why I'm so glad that we finally met, even though we only met online. But we connected through our mutual friend, CJ, Jimmy, also known as the costume jeweler. And he came out here to Las Vegas and he told me all about Lauri. And he said, "Oh my gosh, you need to have a conversation with her because she knows so much about jewelry. She knows so much about all the different brands, eras, styles." And so that's how we met. And I'm really, really, really glad that he connected us.
Well, and I always tell people I'm still learning. I'm a student. You can do this forever, and there's just so much to know. It's impossible. It really is impossible to, you know, you could pick an area and try to be an expert in that one small area.
Right.
Jewelry is just so intensive. There's so much to it. And now, they actually are 3D printing vintage jewelry. So
Really?
market is flooded with fakes. So it's
Oh,
like 280,000 for the machine. But what they've done is they bought the original, and then they're 3D printing them, and they are selling them online as originals. And you really don't know whether it is or it's not till you get it in your hand. And then, unless you're comparing two pieces, it's even hard to tell because they've done such a good job um, at what they're doing. But, it's just like fake Louis Vuitton, fake Gucci. They see
hmm.
that the costume jewelry, the vintage market has exploded. And the reason it's exploded is because vintage costume jewelry is limited, unlike
Right.
what we do today, which is unlimited. If there's a designer you love and they only did, you know, 100 or 200 pieces, it's so limited that that's what makes those prices just so crazy high. You have great brands that did mass production, and they're still great.
Hmm.
The earlier pieces are amazing, and people laugh. But on the low end, the Avon, it's still a great piece. I'll look at Avon pieces that are 100 years old, and they look amazing.
Yes.
It's the difference between the old costume jewelry before, say, and I'm just throwing a number out. So if you guys realize I'm not correct, I understand. But like early 60s,
Hmm.
the difference between the gold filled and the gold plating then is like 25 times what they have to put in it now. They could get away with putting so little in. Before, for something to be gold filled, it had to be 1/20th at the least. So 1/20th of that project had to be real gold to make it where they could
Oh.
say it's gold filled. But even the gold plating, they used to plate it so much thicker than they're doing now,
Hmm.
that now, even though it's gold electroplated, it's such a thin plating that if you scratch it, hit it, nick it, it's going to deteriorate, and the plating will start coming off.
It flakes off. I've seen that.
The older stuff, if you scratched it, it was so thick. You know, it was like 15 times thicker than what they're doing today. If you scratched it on your desk, you just took a buffer and you cleaned it a little bit, but you never got through the plating. Today, it's so easy to get through the plating on pieces. So, you know, that's what makes vintage special, in my opinion, is the way it was created, the handcrafted, even, you know, the hand assembling. You know, there was a lot of machine age stuff, but they were still hand assembled, whether they were machine stamped, you know, or not. They were somebody sitting there, a jobber, putting the piece together, putting the rhinestone in the setting, which makes the difference between hand set and glue set.
Oh, okay. Wow. See, I've already learned a ton.
Oh
And
my
we've
God.
only been talking for 5 minutes.
Yes, I should shut up now.
No, please don't. Please don't. All right. So, I mean, because I don't even know where to start as it relates to, you know, everything that we both love about jewelry and things that we're still learning about jewelry. Do you have because a lot of people who are watching the podcast, like they're just getting started in vintage jewelry and reselling vintage jewelry. So if someone is just starting this, what are some tips or how can you guide them so they don't get so overwhelmed?
Okay, so we'll talk more to the novice collector, somebody who is thinking about starting a collection or getting involved in costume jewelry. So the first thing I would say is to either pick a designer that you really like or a style that you really like.
Okay.
Don't get really broad, because get involved in what you're doing, like researching it, understanding the designer. So if you say you like Renaissance or Art Deco, you
Mm-hmm.
know, start your deco collection. And I will tell you that when you're just starting out, you buy what you love. Okay, you look at a piece and you love it and you buy it because you're really not thinking about the quality or the designer or whatever, if you're in for a style, and your taste will change. This is the whole thing. It's kind of like drinking wine. I don't know if you remember when you first started with wine, everybody starts with a sweeter wine, a white wine. You know, it takes years to progress to where you hate sweet wines. You don't like white wine. You're going for the deeper, darker. Same with jewelry. Like sometimes I'll pull out a box that I put away in just 5 years, 5 years ago. And I'll be like, oh my God, why did I think this was special? Why did I put this in this box? Because
Yes.
years later, and I'm thinking, okay, come on, Lauri, what were you really thinking? Why is this here? So your tastes will change. You'll elevate what you start with. So say you start with the sterling, Art Deco, crystal and cut glass, or black glass handset. Then down the road, you're going to want to turn that into a quartz crystal and black onyx, and you're going to want more advanced pieces. But start with your basics and then build from there. Don't jump in and buy a super expensive piece. Think about
Right.
how you want to collect it, because you want to live with it, love it, know you're going to wear it. The other thing I would say is always try to get something you really can wear, because
Mhm.
to spend money on a piece that you can't enjoy, it becomes art. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I have a lot of art. I have a lot of stuff.
Yes. Well, when I remember years ago when I was first getting into jewelry, and this was probably right after high school, I would always buy pieces to match an outfit. And so I would buy a piece to match the outfit, but then I wasn't sure if I could wear it if I wasn't wearing the outfit,
Exactly.
right? So
And
figuring out your style, like you said, so you're not limited in how you wear it or when you wear it.
And then the other thing to ask yourself is, so everybody has an idea if you like silver or you like gold.
Mhm.
I mix silver and gold. I always have. So I'll pick up
Yeah,
pieces.
that's trendy now, they say.
Well, I'll pick up pieces that are two tone, that have the silver and the gold.
Oh, lovely.
silver with the 18 karat,
Beautiful.
but just so you can wear it. So you're
Hmm.
pigeonholed if you're only wearing silver, and then you get a shirt that has gold accents or shoes, you're going to want to do both. Some people build both a silver and a gold set, and then they'll introduce solid colors. So, say like your top today, you're very, your colors are bright and vibrant
Yes.
and multicolored. Me as well. you know, I always wear jeans. It's one thing I always do working. I'm up and down the stairs. I'm carrying my bird. I always am covered in jewelry. I'm on the floor. So, usually a blue jean and a top. But instead of getting something in the pink that you may not have pink in all your tops, go with the black that you can incorporate into a lot of the outfits you wear. And then you'll see what colors, what do you really enjoy wearing? Because it's so personal. That's what people, I hear you, sweet girl. Jewelry is personal, it speaks to you. I always tell people, don't buy to buy. You hear this brand is hot, you're going to run out and go buy a Louis Vuitton. Well, does Louis Vuitton really speak to you? There may be another brand that you're just not thinking about. So wait, jewelry is an emotional purchase. I mean, I've known a lot of women who have gotten a piece of jewelry that they hated, and from their significant other, and thought, oh,
Right.
he doesn't know me at all. So, learn yourself through the jewelry, explore. And it's another way you could take risks. You could be a little bit more risky in your jewelry than you may be in your dress. So,
Right.
you branch out a bit, and then the date of the night is really big. You don't want to buy something you can only wear at night. You want to be able to wear it day night. That's funny because they made a lot of reversible jewelry, and especially in the power dressing 90s,
Hmm.
that you could flip it over, and at night it would be very flashy, but with your business outfit it would be, solid, so that it was really.
Yes. And I remember those. Some jewelries, they would have interchangeable pieces,
Oh
and
yeah,
you'd be able to like put something on it or take it off or
you're right.
change the face of like watches and stuff to different
And I
colors.
all that because I just put two sets online yesterday, that earrings that came with jackets in every color, and
Oh, really?
and then you can change it every day for whatever
Yes.
what you're wearing.
Yes, I've seen those. I've seen those.
And those are.
Now, what would you say? Okay, so that's like for personal use. But now we also have people who are also starting or trying to grow as jewelry resellers or start a jewelry consignment business, start a jewelry reselling business. So, how would you approach that as someone who wants to sell the jewelry and not necessarily wear it or collect it?
Okay, so that's going to be somebody who is only looking for things that they can make money on. So
Mhm.
when I'm out, I don't get out that much. I work 6 days a week, usually, and on Sundays, a lot of the places here aren't open, but I'll go picking a little bit. I have a lot of people who come to me who bring that I buy bulk. And the first thing first of all, I'm always honest. If I walk in a store, I have people who come in my store all the time and they're resellers and I recognize them. And I'll ask,
Mhm.
oh, are you a reseller? And they'll lie. Literally, they'll say, oh, no, I'm just buying it for me. And they'll pick out 10 pieces. And at the end of the sale, I'll look at them and I'll say, it's really a pity you weren't a reseller, because I always do better for my resellers. Because back, if they're hunting in your playground, they're
Right.
for deals that they could resell. So I have a room in my store. Everything in that room is $5. So if it's 20
Yes.
or less, I throw it in the $5 room. I do that because it doesn't pay for me to pay somebody to list it, put it online, pay the percentage I pay the taxes I pay at something under $20. So I have a lot of pickers who come in who are always looking for, because they're a reseller that if they pay 5 and sell it for 20, they're happy. They made 3 times what they invested. So
Right. Right.
what I say, if you're a reseller, is there's two things. Don't only buy what you like, because I've seen resellers that pigeonhole themselves. They
Hmm.
I wholesale to them, but they'll tell me, "Oh, I only buy what I like. If I don't like it, I don't buy it." And I think, okay, so everybody's not going to have the same taste as you.
Right.
In my store, I buy a lot of stuff I don't like. And it's not even that I don't like it. I buy a lot of stuff that isn't something I would ever wear because it's not my style. But I understand that if you're a reseller, you've got to have stuff for everybody. The nice
Hmm.
thing I will tell you about being a jewelry reseller is, unlike being a clothing reseller, you don't always have to worry about size. So
Yes.
that's and as my husband says, he loves that I like smalls because it's easy to stick a bag of jewelry in your purse. I
Yep.
have 20 pairs of jeans in my purse, show up at a party and be like, "Oh, I have some."
Yes. And it's easy to ship and it's easy to store.
It is
You
it,
don't need a whole lot of space, even though I've seen your space. You do have a lot of space.
and
But
I
for most of us, we can store it in a spare bedroom or in a closet or something like that.
the one thing I'll tell you to be careful of if you are storing jewelry is I'm if you are starting out, or if you're a reseller, or if you're in the business, the number one thing I would tell you would be to join Facebook groups that
Yes.
are in the same philosophy, or go with what you're doing, because the resource there is unbelievable. As
I agree.
some of the groups that help identify makers marks and identify jewelry styles. So that's one thing. The other thing I saw was, um, I have seen people get storages, put their jewelry in storages, okay?
Hmm.
Air conditioned. And that deteriorates the glue and the settings and the vintage stuff. Yesterday, I dropped a belt, and three of the plastic medallions on the belt popped off. And I didn't even drop it. I dropped it, on a soft floor. But because the glue, that's a good indication to me that the glue's deteriorated because of the change in temperatures.
Right.
And, you have to be conscious of that when you're a reseller and storing. Don't leave, a tote of jewelry in your car all day. It's going to get up to 150 degrees in your car. So people don't think about this. I used to go to the flea market and buy from some of the girls years ago, and I would get it home and the stone would fall out or the cameo would fall off.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
It's because they're storing it in their car. The least little time you hit it, it's just going to come apart.
Hmm.
The other
Hmm.
thing is, that's not a problem if you have all the pieces. It's when you lose a piece and it's a unique type of stone or plastic and you don't have a replacement. So the other thing I would tell your listeners is, don't shy away from broken jewelry, because I keep what I call my doctor's kit. I don't know if you can see, but behind me, this is where I fix jewelry, and I keep extra stones, I keep all my, anything I might need. So I always tell people, you're not going to take a piece from 1910 and put in a rhinestone from today. You're going to mess up your piece. You actually
Right.
need to have a piece of jewelry that you can substitute stones, rhinestones, change out. That
Yeah.
that's going to help you. So if you have broken jewelry, make a doctor's kit. Don't take the stone out of the setting until you need it, because it's so easy to lose them, or
Hmm.
to, not realize what age is this piece. So the setting's going to help you understand the age of your pieces if you keep them
Okay.
with it. So little things like that, it took me years to learn, because if something broke, I thought it was junk. So I'd throw it, not thinking, oh, you may want that clip. You may want the wire. You may need the phone. So just knowing that when you're starting out, that if you do have broken, and now that's not to say I don't sell like for crafting, but I
Yeah.
don't sell anything that I can't replace. So, but if I have an early piece of Coro jewelry and it's missing, I keep it. So if I get the identical Coro piece and I end up needing something, I have the replacement for it myself. Because if you ever try to go hunting one small stone, and that's funny, CJ comes to me all the time when he needs something because he knows that I have a vast array of unique and different stones. So that's something people don't think about, but you should. If you want to be in this industry, you're going to need to learn to repair your own pieces. The one thing with costume jewelry is it can never, there's not very many people who can fix it anymore because you solder it at a very, very low heat temperature. And all the people that could fix costume jewelry, unfortunately, I had a guy who was amazing. He was 90 and his parents owned a costume jewelry company when he was growing up. But now, you know, there's not many people left who know how to do it. And then the real
Right.
won't touch it because they know that as soon as they hit it with their high heat, they're going to melt and ruin anything around it.
Mm-hmm.
So understand, I mean, I've lost some amazing stuff because nobody can fix the piece. And you'll see a lot of people rework pieces.
Right. I have seen that.
And they'll rework it into something. They don't try to sell it as old, but they'll sell it as upcycled, which is
Yes.
I hate when people destroy costume jewelry to make Christmas tree.
I hate that too. You know, and they break off, you know,
It's
pieces. They break off the back and you're like, "No."
like cry. I'm like, no. But they're not understanding to people like us who are so appreciative of the work and the craftsmanship and what went into it. It's heartbreaking. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it with broken jewelry, and I sell lots of broken jewelry for crafters, you know, and
Right.
there's stuff in there. But, you know, always if you're selling, always think, what is it I may need to replace something?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep, if you're selling just a small amount of jewelry, you could keep the small doctor's kit, you know. But if you're like me and you have over 5 million pieces, believe me when I tell you, I have stuff I can't repair. And I put it in a drawer and I think eventually I'm going to get something that will help me fix this. But until I do, I just put it away knowing, you know, I have a whole drawer full of needs to be repaired that I don't have the proper pieces for.
Yeah. And a friend of mine is a photographer in LA.
Mhm.
And she told me that they actually used to buy a lot of like broken jewelry and broken pieces and stuff because they would use them as props in photo shoots. So like if a stone was missing, she just wouldn't put that part of the necklace in the
Yeah,
shot.
but something else.
Right. Or like she would pile other stuff on it so you wouldn't notice that the bottom necklace had something wrong with it because
Right.
the necklace
And
is on
there's a
top.
lot
So
that make art or do other things like
yeah, yeah. So there's lots of options, you
put
know,
paint
you don't.
over it, like a movie
Yeah.
to make it. The other thing is that's like Chico's makes really nice jewelry.
Oh, they do.
Well, Chico's jewelry is all copies of originals. They went through New York and they bought the original pieces. Then they send them out
Mm.
done. So they're not trying to be they're not trying to be a vintage, but their pieces are amazing because they're using actual vintage pieces to create what they're making now. And so that's why their stuff is really nice, well made, and quality. So I always say, think about what's going to be hot, not today, but 10 years from today. Think about what's well made. For me, J. Crew makes great jewelry.
Yeah, they do. They do. And some of Betsy Johnson's
Oh,
like
I,
earlier stuff,
yep. And I
like
sell,
really nice.
yeah, the vintage Betsy's really.
Yes.
I'll tell you another. Silpata is a sterling silver company that used to do home parties. Now they don't do the home parties; they only sell online. Their
Hmm.
stuff, in my opinion, which in my humble opinion, their new stuff is not anything like their old stuff. So if you find the old Silpata, it's going to be really heavy, really well made. It doesn't have air in it. It doesn't ding, it doesn't dent. So those are the kind of things you want to know now. So if you're out looking, you know the difference and you know what to put away. But like a couple of years ago, I was looking up some J. Crew stuff and I said, you know what, just put it in a drawer. We'll wait 10 years because it's so well made that
Yeah.
you got to remember the costume jewelry you're collecting today, they called it junk jewelry. It was literally dinosaur junk jewelry. Wasn't meant to be kept 100 years like it is. It was something, a bauble that you could buy that was relatively inexpensive, and you were supposed to just put it away next season and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so well made, we're all still loving it.
Yeah. And I think too, because they wanted it to be comparable to the higher end pieces. So they made them much better quality so they wouldn't, just fall apart after one wearing.
Well, the problem is now everything is so cheaply made. Everybody,
I know.
but the difference is everybody's so concerned with their bottom line. They're looking. Even a restaurant I go to, we go 2 times a week because we're vegans to this one restaurant. I went in and the menu was totally changed and they didn't have any of the stuff I liked. They took all the stuff that they weren't making a lot of money on because their prices were reasonable on it, and they changed it.
Mm-hmm.
So and I understand you have to make money. It's if you're doing this to be a reseller and you're not making money, you're a hobbyist. You're not,
Right.
you know,
It's a very expensive hobby.
hobby spots, businesses make money. If you're not making money, you're a hobbyist, which I can't say anything because I probably am a hobbyist. But, it's the difference between, there was one of the costume jewelry manufacturers, and there are still active today online, Juliana Jewelry. That was
Mhm.
Alistair, the two guys that started it. He's still identifying 100 pieces of jewelry a week online. You could submit what, and he'll tell you if they made it or not. But there's very few people like that are still out there active in
Right.
helping you identify stuff. So learning and knowing how to tell the difference between things, and I'll do that for you one day. I'll show people how to tell a Juliana, and
Oh, yes.
there's different telltale signs that you can do, that you can look at, that you can know to know whether it really is or not. um, and then there's different groups online that will help you identify it. But
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so it's learning, and that's, again, it goes back to, I said, pick something and learn about that one thing so that you can spot those pieces. The other thing I'll tell you is touching things.
Mm-hmm.
I handle thousands of pieces of jewelry every day. So I can literally close my eyes and tell you what's new, what's old, just by how it feels in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Learn one brand or one time period. Make your mind up to really become informed in that one period so that you know it inside and out before you jump to the next thing. Because if you're just constantly jumping between different things, you never really learn the one thing. You know a little bit about a lot, and that's great if you're large scaling it. But if you really want to make money, learn about a certain specific piece of jewelry, time period, designer. There's
Yeah.
a lot of fine pieces out there that are worth a lot of money. There's Miriam Haskell. She didn't sign anything till the 40s. She's got tons of stuff that's still out there. If you can learn, how can I tell what is a Miriam Haskell piece? You'll be able to walk in a thrift store and pick up something. And this weekend, I told you I don't get out much. I went in a store and I bought a piece for a couple of dollars, and I bought a lot, so I really didn't look at it. And when I looked at it, I knew immediately it was 18 to 22 karat gold. It had diamonds. It had a beautiful amethyst. It was probably, I'm guessing, because I haven't looked it up yet, it's somewhere on my desk, but it was probably early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful piece. And I just knew when I touched it that it was. I came back to my house, I scratched it, I took out my gold testing, and it tested. The only test acid I had at my house was 18 karat, and it tested 18 karat. So it's 18 karat or more. I didn't have any of my 22 or 24 karat at the house. So it's something like that, you know. Another thing I'm going to tell you that is kind of a secret, but it's not. A lot of times, if you're out and you see a ring that's not marked, I have bought many, 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 many gold rings that were sized. And when they size the ring, you lose the mark.
Oh, okay.
Nobody sizes your ring and then restamps it. You know it's whatever carat it is. They know it is. You bring it in for them to size, and they, if they're making it smaller, they cut it and they solder it. If they're making it bigger, they cut it and they open it and add gold to it. But they're not concerned about remarking it. So I have many, many, many times I bought a $4,000 ring I got for $1. I could see where it had been soldered. It was a black line on the ring. Everybody else thought it was junk because they're thinking, "Oh my God, look, it looks terrible. It's already scratched off."
Mm-hmm.
But I immediately recognized it as a solder mark.
So for a piece like that, would you just sell it for scrap, or would you resell it to somebody who?
Well, that particular piece I took to my gemologist and
Mhm.
got an appraisal on. It's a $4,000 piece that I'll sell for $1,000.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
I just scrapped a beautiful piece. I paid a couple of bucks for it. It was 7 coins from 1908. They were Cooners, they were a different country. But the way it was set in the bracelet, they soldered a bezel around it and made it into a bracelet. Well, it ruined the value of the coin. So no coin collector is going to want it because they're wanting it for the coin, for the solid gold coin.
Mm-hmm.
A jewelry person may buy it. You know, it was probably worth $5,000 to $6,000, but in scrap it was 2,000. So when gold was so high a few weeks ago, I scrapped it.
Okay.
So watch the price of gold.
Right.
You know what's happening. But for me, at that point, I was like, yeah, I could sit on it for the next 10 years waiting for 4 or 5,000. I could put it for 4 or 5,000 and still only get 2,000. I might as well scrap it when gold was high.
Right. Right.
Mm.
All right. Yeah. So a lot of that is, I guess, just the timing and like you said, paying attention to the price of gold or silver, whatever it is
And
that
if
you're.
something has damage, like I have this chain. So I had bought a lot of jewelry from somebody I buy from all the time. I'm not a very good negotiator, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a haggler. It's not personal. Okay. If you come to me and you say, which I just had a girl bring me a bunch of stuff, and what she wanted was what I'm going to end up selling it for. And it's not personal, it's business. I just say no, I don't haggle with you. I'm not,
Right.
but like, if you come to me with a box of jewelry and tell me you want $100, I'm going to look in and see, am I going to be able to make 400? Because for me, that's my number. I have to make that much more with my store and my employees. If I spend, and I tell people, if I spend $1, I've got to be able to sell it for 5. If I can't buy it. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to spend $100 to make $100 because after I pay taxes
Yeah.
on,
You're not even making the 100.
I'm not making the 100. And then with my employees and the 20% the listing sites take, I can't, I'm not, I can't do business like that. But if you're just a reseller, just selling on Facebook or selling to your friends or selling at a flea market or doing, personal sales,
Like eBay or something like that.
yeah, you could double your money and be happy because you have no extra cost. You know, my $5,000 on the store, that's off the top every month, not including my, not including my employees. So like, just to give you an example, all this, and I don't know if you can see it. Can you see? Can you see what's in my hand? Am I?
Gold.
Yeah. So all this I got out of a custom jewelry lot. It's all gold.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody changed the clasp on this piece because I'm sure they broke the clasp and they put on whatever clasp they had, which was gold filled.
Ah.
But the chain is 14 karat. So when I check jewelry, and this is very important for your beginning jewelry people who are wanting to get in the business, people are very deceptive. So
Yeah.
say I'm going to buy this piece, right? When people bring it to me and ask me to buy it, I test the clasp, I test the end, and I test the chain. And not that I'm skeptical or that I have learned by getting burned that it's very easy to change the clasp on something and you think you have one thing and you have something else. People
Right.
all the time, I buy a lot of jewelry from somebody who buys a lot of jewelry, and he usually brings me the costume because he doesn't do anything with costume. But he'll bring me silver and stuff as well. And there has been so many times that after I bought it, and he knows me well, I know him well, I put it on the side. He gives me back whatever the weight of it that I bought. But they'll take a sterling silver chain and they'll add this little piece to it. They'll add this little piece right here that says sterling. See that little piece?
Yeah, like part of the clasp.
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll buy, say, 100 of those in sterling, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll cut the chain and they'll cut the clasp. They'll insert that piece that says sterling and sell it as sterling. And it'll be just silver plated. So one of the things you can do if you're a novice and you don't know, and I do it anyway, is when I'm going through jewelry, I always have a magnet. So when I'm going through, say, a box of earrings, I look to see if it's not magnetic. If it's magnetic, it's not sterling or gold, brass or bronze.
Right. Right.
A lot of the vintage jewelry, though, the old stuff is magnetic. Nothing wrong with it. It's the old vintage jewelry. It definitely is something that's going to be magnetic, and you're going to know it because it's going to jump to your magnet. So the other thing you need to know is a lot of times there is a spring in the clasp that will be attracted to a magnet. So sometimes if the clasp is magnetic, a lot of the newer stuff, it has a spring in it that's magnetic. It doesn't mean the whole chain isn't, but
Right.
inside that clasp is a piece that's attracting the magnet. And you don't want just a magnet, you want to get a strong earth magnet.
Right. Right.
So the other trick is I'll take a box of jewelry, and since I'm not prepared today, I can be the next time. I put my magnet all through the box and see what it picks up. Because then it's stuff I don't even have to look at. I only looked at it, pick up a clasp. If it was attached because of the clasp, then I'm going to check it anyway. But if it's attached like this, I know it's not silver and it's not gold. So it's just an easy way if you're a picker and you're going through stuff, or if you're at Salvation Army or Goodwill.
Or at a yard sale or something.
I keep the magnet on me.
Yeah, I do too. I keep that. I have a little tiny black light that I keep in my bag.
And what keeping the black light for? Just out of
Well, because sometimes I like to see if the glass is glowy glass, like if it's uranium glass or something like that. So I keep a little black light in
I was
my.
just asking because there's different stones that will.
Oh, and that's right. Like opalite does that too.
That's why I was asking. So I keep a black light. So when you look at these brooches,
Yes.
so all of these are early, made in Austria. They have the glass.
Absolutely beautiful. So if you guys are listening to the audio version of this podcast, make sure you head on over to YouTube so you can see Lauri's amazing display of glowy jewelry.
And the funny thing is, so anything plastic will glow. You know that, right? Like
Yeah,
the
and some of the um I want to say it's like, is it ceramic or something? Because that will glow too.
and then this is funny, but this is something important for your for if you're starting out to know is amber, real amber should effervesce. Can you see that?
Yes, yes. I have a lot of amber.
So this is real amber. See how it changes color?
Yes.
That's a good way to know if your amber's real.
Ah.
There should definitely be a change that you can see. Some will glow green, some will glow more of a bluey.
Yes, like a bluish purpley color.
Yep. And it just depends on the amber where it was from. But so that's but when I'm out, I usually don't have a black light with me. I always have a loop and I always have a magnet. And I do have a loop that has a black light. And I have had customers come in with their black light and they're looking for the gemstones that change under effervescent light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So another thing that probably took me 40 years to learn that I'll share with you is I used to look at stones, and if they had a foil back, I would assume they're rhinestones and never pay much attention to them. I just think, oh, it's rhinestones. It's got a foil back. It must be
Mm-hmm.
rhinestones. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, they foil back their stones. You
Oh, see, I didn't know that either.
didn't have light. They only had candlelight. And they would put foil on either the back of the stone or the inside of the setting to make it shine at night by candlelight. So
Hmm.
then I had to think, how many diamonds have I thrown away? Because I didn't know that. I automatically assumed a diamond's going to be open set because I grew up knowing
Yeah.
always open set.
Because that's what I always believed too, but I'm glad you told me this.
Yeah, I have very many older pieces that are real, and I just would have assumed. And then the other giveaway is they're never going to put a diamond in a really cheap setting unless
Right.
they're smuggling them. So
Right.
when you're looking at stuff, always keep in the back of your mind, if it's not well crafted,
Mm-hmm.
always be looking for the well made, because that's where you're going to get your scores. That's where your big finds are going to come. It's going to be in you knowing that something's very well made. Um, that detail, it's how do you know it's well made? Okay, getting back to that, how do you know? How do you know if something's well made? You handle
I was
tons,
going to say, when you touch it, you can tell, if you can.
and you will be able to teach yourself the difference. I know that Bakelite, they'll tell you, smell the camphor, rub it against your pants. Can you smell it? Well, I don't have a very good sense of smell. So for me, the smell test has never worked. So the other way to know Bakelite is semichrome. Have you
Yep, that's what I use.
That's your go-to. But I will tell you this: a lot of black bakelite won't test with semichrome. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
So
I've never come across a black piece of bakelite.
a lot of black bakelite and bakelite that has been sealed won't.
Oh, okay, okay.
One of a good giveaway on bakelite, if it's a piece that has white, it won't be white.
Right.
It'll be yellowed. So I have a lot of patriotic bakelite jewelry that's originally it was red, white, and blue. Now it's yellow, red, and blue
Mm-hmm.
because it yellows. People don't realize that. There is no nude bakelite. None.
Yeah, it's always like kind of like that custardy kind of color.
Well, it's another resin that they use now. And there's some artists out there that call it bakelite and they're using this new resin, but
Mm,
it's a different formula. So
okay.
they
Okay.
just don't make it anymore. And then you got to be careful with your old phenolic resins because they're flammable. Those are the ones that were at the same time as Bakelite. There were two, or Caitlin, and now they're terming everything together. So Bakelite has become a generic word for resin plastic.
Yeah, because I saw, as a matter of fact, on eBay the other day, someone had a piece of celluloid jewelry, and they called that bakelite.
And it's become acceptable to
Yes.
Bakelite as a term covering all that, but you need to know the difference,
Hmm.
especially because that is the piece that you're talking about is a very flammable, so you don't want to put chemical on it.
Uh-huh. And it's real delicate
It's
too.
delicate, it's much more brittle. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's an older, and really, really and truthfully, there are pieces that have both in them that are mixed.
Okay.
Those. So you'll get an old piece. So I keep a drawer that has some of my old
I love walking around your jewelry room.
oh I'm insane. I mean, I'm insane.
It's
So
amazing. That's
I,
like Disneyland for us jewelry people.
I'm telling you, I'm insane. I'll kind of walk you around now that I'm up, but like this is going to be, see, these are your old resins.
Resins and plastics. Look at those flowers. Those are pretty.
But these are going to be your older pieces.
Yeah.
Um, just because, and like this is Bakelite. And
Wait,
for,
aim the camera down a little bit more so we can see.
can you see this piece?
Yeah, raise it up higher. Yeah, right there.
So this is good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I have another drawer of all Bakelite, but this is good. These are your older plastics. See this? And it's on the,
Yes. Yes, I love pieces like that.
and then this is Bakelite, but it won't test because the black has it, it doesn't always test.
Hmm.
So the other thing you could do is you could submerge it in hot water to know the difference.
But that won't damage it.
No. Mm-mm. No. Don't, I'm not saying put it in something that's just boiling, but the thing about Bakelite is once it's cast, it can't be recast. Your other resins can. They could be melted down. The Bakelite won't
Okay.
melt.
Okay.
So this is going to be your marble. These are really big now. This is going to be your carved. Can you see the carving?
Yeah. Now, is that what they call cinnabar, or cinnabar is something different?
Cinnabar is something different. I'll show you Cinnabar just so you know.
Yes.
Cinnabar, this is Cinnabar right here. See that?
Yes.
So that's Bakelite.
Okay.
This is Cinnabar. This is Cinnabar. So, and what Cinnabar is it's dipped and dipped and dipped and dipped and dipped and dried and dipped and dried and dipped and dried and dipped.
Okay.
So with Cinnabar, you know, you should be able to see where it's been submerged so many times, the layers and layers and layers. There's a certain amount of layering that into it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but again, it's going back to learning one thing and knowing it well, something you love that you can, you know. So this is my rhinestone room, and these are all done by color.
That's so breathtaking. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you know, your orange and green, and then the gold, and then your black and whites, and your aurora borealis. And then this is all going to be, you know, I have some special pieces in the bottom. Some of these pieces are insane. But then this is going to be just by time periods. You know, your 80s and 90s compared to your, you know, 40s and 50s.
Yeah, look at that big pile of massive rhinestones. It's so beautiful.
I know, I'm bad. This is, I like the mixed metal pieces.
Oh,
Like,
that's lovely.
yeah, they're beautiful. And then I like everything. That's my problem.
Yeah,
I
me too.
like
Me
all,
too.
but
And I'm attracted to everything in some way. Like I love it all.
I love it all. I'm the same way. I love it all. But here's the thing. Yes, I love it all, but out of all the jewelry you see, I probably have less than 1% listed because it takes so long for me to go through.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to list the stuff that's signed. That's really easy because all you do is Google search it and see what
Hmm.
other people are selling it for, get their description. It's the hard pieces. I have some resellers that bring me the stuff they can't figure out because they don't know how to sell it. They don't know what to call it. They don't want to get screwed by, you know, by not selling it correctly. So they'll bring it
Yeah.
to me and, you know, I'll end up being the one trying to research it and figure it out. So not for them, you know, they just want to get out of it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't, you know, it's worth
Yeah.
nothing to them.
Yeah, I have some pieces like that where I know they're like not junk, but I don't know what they are, so they've just kind of been sitting in a box
I
because
it.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't have time to spend the hours upon hours to like do the research, but that's actually what I need to do.
And the other thing I'll tell you, I sold a piece and I'm still kicking myself, really kicking myself. The other thing, I sold a Salvador Dali piece. And
Mm.
if you have a book piece, if you have a piece that was featured in a book,
Hmm.
it's worth like 5 times what it normally would sell for because it's a book piece.
Now, when you say book piece, you mean in like a reference book, like in a
Book.
jewelry?
Somebody who wrote a book on costume jewelry and
Okay,
it
okay.
came out this year. I paid $200 for the book. First picture in the book was my Salvador Dali brooch. I sold for $300. That's now worth a couple of thousand.
Oh, wow.
Because at the time I knew nothing about it. Nobody had it. I knew it was a Salvador Dali piece. I thought I did good to get a few $100s for it. Who would have dreamed it was that special? And
Yes, and that you would actually come across it in a book. Like,
right.
what are the odds?
Exactly. So that's why I say if you can really learn one area, specialty, and become proficient before you move to the next. I'm not saying don't learn about everything. If you like everything, learn it, please. Believe me when I tell you, I wish I was a gemologist. I wish I would have because even today, as much as I know, I still go see a gemologist
Yeah.
because I know what it is, but I don't know really. So I take it, I go, I spend it, I spend like 4 hours once a month. I bring in 100 pieces. I don't get a full appraisal. He'll just tell me what the carat is, what the metal is, blah, 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 really quick. So in 4 hours, we get through 100 pieces and I pay him by the hour. And for
Oh,
me, a good investment because then I take everything in these little bags, in the little bags. And on the bag, when he gives it back, I write, okay, it's full cut, 6-point diamond. He'll tell me retail and then I'll sell it for less, you know, but at least I know what replacing it would be.
okay.
So, it's small things like that that will help you. And there's antique places here. There's auction houses that on Tuesdays they do free they'll tell you what it's worth if you were going to sell it in the auction. So you could bring things in on Tuesday and they'll tell you what they think it'll fetch, and then if you want to sell it, you leave it with them. Now,
Oh,
you're
okay.
just to find out what it's worth and you never leave them pieces, they're going to stop helping you. They're not going to want to tell you if you do that a lot. But if you have a relationship, if you buy from an auction house and you already have a relationship because you're already buying and you come across something, always, ask them. There's nothing wrong with asking other people what their opinion of it is or what, I have people all the time ask me, what do you think I should charge? What is this? I have people who text me pictures all the time.
Yeah, CJ told me that he always asks you. He
Yeah.
always asks you about stuff.
I had a customer who used to buy from me, right? I wholesaled her a lot of stuff. Well, she got mad when the people that work for me put me on like TikTok and YouTube because
Hmm.
she wanted me to be her little secret. Well, that's great.
Wow.
Not a business for me. And then the 100% opposite is somebody like CJ. And the way I met him is he had come into my store. I had 4 stores at the time. He came into the store I'm at now and he did a video. And him and the guy I had running the store got along and talked. And, they called me and said, oh, this guy came in. He's on YouTube. He did a video, blah, blah, blah. And we gave him your card to come see the warehouse because this is 4,000 square feet. That my warehouse was 8,000 square feet. But he's so generous. He
Yeah,
shares.
he is.
And if you share your knowledge, it doesn't take away from what anybody else knows if you help. If you're kind and you're generous, it
Exactly.
comes back. If you don't want people to know what they have, because in some work sense you think that it takes away from what you're doing, it doesn't. There's so much room for all of us. It's not a competition. And we all
I
get different
agree.
stuff. It's just if you love it and you want to talk about it and you enjoy it, be generous with what you've learned. Don't be stingy.
Yes, yes. That's the whole purpose of this podcast too, because I felt there was just no place for people who love jewelry and resale jewelry to get basic information or for us to share and have discussions about it.
People who don't want you to know what they know. I
Yeah.
was telling my husband, that I was going to tell you about putting away designers now for later because you guys are young. I'm, in my 60s. If I would have thought about this 40 years ago, if I would have known about the internet, believe me when I tell you, I would have put away my retirement in pieces that I knew would be worth money. But you only know what you know. And he's like, oh my God, don't tell them. Then they're going to start buying it. And I'm like, honey, this is something everybody can know. It's not, it's not, doesn't take away from anything I do. It's not like you and I are shopping and I'm trying to hide from you what I'm getting.
Right.
I want you to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I want to know what you're doing and why you're
Mhm.
doing it because it helps me learn and understand.
Yeah, and the one thing I've learned too about jewelry, because I've had this happen many times. I will go to a yard sale, an estate sale, a thrift store, and there'll be 4, 5, 6 of us all going to the jewelry. But surprisingly, we're not all looking and, picking out the same pieces. Maybe it happens a few times, but there's some people who are just looking for gold and silver. There's some of us who are just looking for vintage. There's some of us who are just looking for the more modern pieces.
And the funny thing is, my best scores, that bracelet I told you about, the coin bracelet,
Mm-hmm.
I bought it on a Sunday. The sale had been going since Thursday. I don't get out till Sunday. And I found, a $5,000 bracelet for $2.
Yes, everyone before you passed over it. So
I picked up an Italian ring that was 18 karat, and it was an inch aquamarine, and it was a Sunday. It was late on Sunday. He was done. He was over it. I put it on my finger. It didn't even come up over this little knuckle. And I did my little shopping, and then I was like, oh, and I picked this up too. It's Sunday. I never think I'm going to get anything good on Sunday. I'll be honest with you, because there are people who go first thing Friday morning.
right.
They're waiting at the door to get all the jewelry.
Uh-huh.
So he said, oh, it's 50 cents, because it was a size 3.5. It ended up being an Plata, an Italian brand. That was a $4,000 ring. I sold it for $1,000 because I didn't know anybody who could wear a 3.5. I knew one, and she loved jewelry. And she was a very good negotiator, and I wasn't. But it was a beautiful piece. So my thing is, if you go thinking, I'm only going to buy this because I want to resell it, and you're closing yourself off to other things that are out there.
So true.
If it's in your price range, if it speaks to you, if you love it, then it doesn't matter. Because if it's not worth reselling it, you love it, you'll keep it. If it is worth reselling, if you pick up a $10 piece that you could sell for $75 or $80 and you're happy doing that, that's great. But if you bought it because you love it, you never mind wearing it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've done too, where sometimes I'll buy a piece that I like, and maybe I'll enjoy it for a little while before I decide to sell it.
I do that all the time.
Like, I know I'll sell it eventually. I'm just not selling it right now.
Or, as I like to tell people, everything's for sale.
Right.
Wearing it doesn't mean it's not for sale. It just means that, it's not selling today because I'm wearing it. But it's
yes.
It should be fun.
I agree.
The thing with this is it should be fun. It's not a race. It's not a fight. You're not, it should be something you do with love, and because you love it and you enjoy it and you want to learn about it. If not, just go to Kay's Jewelers and be a jeweler at, one of the little jewelry stores if you like jewelry, but you're not going to learn about it, or you don't,
Yeah. All right, Lauri. Well, before I let you go, how can people find you, or how can they connect with you? Because I know I'll get some questions about that.
Well, and if my stores online are the letter E and the letter Z, MyEZVintage, and I'll tell you what, I'll write it real quick too, just so people.
Yeah, because I put your name up, so it's MyEZVintage.
And this is my I'm on eBay, Depop, Poshmark, Grailed. I'm on like 8 sites. Is that showing?
Yes. Like I said, I have it on your name too.
Oh, good.
Like the little banner.
I don't mind giving people my number. And if they have questions, or they want, any information, or if they're coming to St. Petersburg, Florida, or they want to get a hold of me, if you're good with me, you could put my contact out there. I have no problem with it.
Oh, yeah. If you want to, like after we end the recording, just, let me know, and I'll put it in the description in case someone wants to reach out.
That you called on. If somebody wants to reach out, if they have a question, or they want, I had somebody this morning who reached out through one of my stores because they wanted to know what gem tester I used and what gold tester I used and where I got it. And I
Mm.
laughed because the thing that these are good tools, but they're just tools.
Right.
A gold tester, it will read gold even if it's plated. So then I still have to turn around and use my chemicals to figure it out.
Okay.
And then my gem tester will give you, so it will tell you it could be jade, iolite, aqua, emerald, or amethyst, but you almost have to know. So use those as tools, but in addition to those tools, I use my stone identification sheets. And then
Oh, okay.
I use books. And the other thing I do is I make notes. This is the most important thing I'm going to leave you with. If you find a maker's mark, write it down, because I have looked up the same maker's mark 50 times because I'm not that smart.
I've done that too.
So if you find a maker's mark, keep a little book. I used to keep a phone book. It's grown to a filing cabinet. But it's like I told you, knowledge is power. I tell my husband all the time. Silpada has a very weird mark. But once you learn their mark, you'll always know.
Yeah, you'll recognize it.
You'll know it's silver. They only did silver. They never
Mm-hmm.
did fake jewelry. They only did sterling. So when you see that little mark, I've bought a lot of jewelry that wasn't obviously marked. But I saw Silpata's mark and knew that they only do silver. So it's those, but keep a book, write it down. Um, if you want to not look up the same thing 100 times like I do. Also, with a lot of the Mexican and native marks, those are really hard.
Yeah, those are.
They're really hard. And I have books and books and books and study. And I still will go to the Native American groups online and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey guys, anybody recognize this?
Yeah.
And that's where those resources become amazing. And then share your knowledge. If you learn something somebody else doesn't know, help the next person. Always, pay it forward, have a handout. It doesn't take away from anything you're doing, and always be honest about what you're selling. The biggest thing, if you're new selling, is a lot of times you don't want to point out a flaw. It's in your pictures, but you don't bring it to their attention. It's in your pictures, and you may have a disclaimer. Look really good at the pictures, but the flaw is there. I always point out the flaw.
I always do too, because I don't want anybody being surprised or feeling like scam them or anything like that. I'm
Exactly.
always very, very upfront.
Very upfront, because
Something's, wrong or missing or broken, whatever the case may be.
I sold a copy of an Atosha coin. Atosha is the ship that went down here off the coast of Florida, and there's lots and lots and lots of faux coins out there that are being sold as real. I sold a fake coin. The description was faux Atosha coin. Faux Atosha coin. It's in the description. It's the title. Right. I had a guy buy it and then tell me, that's not real. Of course it's not real. Why do you think it says faux?
Oh my gosh.
If it was real, it's $2,000 to $3,000, not $90. Did you think it was gold filled? I tell you this. And if you are still not sure, ask. People would much rather you ask up front than buy it and then not be happy with it or give them bad feedback when you have to do your own due diligence. I've bought many of things I've been disappointed in, and I went back and looked at the pictures, and the flaw was in the pictures, and it was my fault for not looking well. They didn't point it out, but that's on me, because I should do my due diligence, not expect you to. But I will tell you, the more honest you are, people will appreciate it, and they'll want to come back and buy from you again, and they'll build a rapport with you. If you screw somebody once, they may not know it the first few times, but eventually they're going to find out and they're never going to buy from you again.
Yeah. And the other thing I've learned too is, like, I always disclose the flaws, because to some people, they're not flaws,
Exactly. I
I've
have,
learned that.
well, I had one of my employees say, "Hey, Mama, you know this is missing a stone." I said, "I know." And I said, "But if you go into eBay and you look, the same brooch sold missing stones for $600. People
Hmm.
want the original because he wanted to put a stone in." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yes.
don't do that." I
Yes.
give the option in my website. Would you like me to clean it? I don't automatically clean old jewelry. A lot
Mm.
of people buy something because they want to see that age. They want to see the patina. They
Yeah.
want to see. So I'll, in our description, if you'd like this piece cleaned, please let us know. We don't mind cleaning it before we ship it.
Hmm.
But, once you clean it, somebody who wanted it dirty is not going to buy it. Somebody
Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
to see the original and the condition prior.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had sold something where one of the stones or beads on it had like a mark on it, and I don't know if it was something wrong, if somebody got ink on it or whatever. And the lady was like, "That's not even an issue." Like she was just so excited about the piece. She didn't care that one of the beads had something wrong with it. Like she didn't care. She thought it was beautiful, even with that
But
discrepancy.
like you said, sometimes flaws are not flaws.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you something. I have this piece that I actually need to contact a museum about, but I had two sets of it. And one set I sold for like $150. I didn't realize that what I thought was a mark was actually a signature. So be
Oh, wow.
really careful. And then on the second set, I found it in a book, and it was a book of museum pieces. And that's when I realized I sold one of the sets for $150 when they're worth a couple of thousand. But
Oh,
those
wow.
learn mistakes. You're always going to make stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I've made my share and I
Oh,
probably
we all do
will continue to make mistakes.
every day. But the thing is, like I said, if you come across a unique mark, write it down, file it somewhere, come up with a system for keeping it. Um, those are things nobody's going to tell you.
Yeah.
Nobody to do this. And
And
after,
even it's easier now because you can take a picture with your phone, save it, crop it, and then put it in a folder on your computer or something. You can
or
have,
even just on your phone book on your phone.
yeah, or on your phone. Yeah.
And that's something I was going to say too. The last thing I'll tell you is if you have a Perot, which is three pieces of a set,
Okay.
it makes the set worth 5 times what the individual pieces are. If you have the original box, it's worth 25% more than selling.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
throw away original boxes because that
Right.
identify the piece, even if it's damaged,
Mm-hmm.
that goes into money back.
Mm-hmm.
People want the original packaging, the original box. And then like there's times I'll have a piece and I'll see 4 or 5 people are selling it, and I'll put it away, and then I'll shop for the earrings or the ring to go with it. Then I have a set. Nobody has a set. Nobody has the 3 pieces. So then mine jumps to the top because people want the set. So they're not hunting.
Right.
So it's fun. You love it. It's a community of people who love it. Find your tribe, you know, and
Yes.
share the wealth, share the knowledge. I
All
love
right. Well,
you.
I
I
have learned so much, Lori. I really have. I'm
well,
so amazed.
I know that we'll learn off each other. I think it'll be a very good relationship. And if you or anybody, your followers need help or information, if I can help them, I'm more than happy to do it. Do your research, Google Lens. It's going to be the pieces that you don't see out there, but those are the diamond in the rough. Because
Yes.
you stumble across a piece and you can't find it anywhere, you may have something really incredible and just not know it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always that for me. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh, absolutely. But
I'm
yes,
I'm I'm waiting for that day where I have something so miraculous, And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes.
Very, a lot of people get frustrated and they don't spend the time. And, the other thing is a lot of people who have something they don't care, they just want to get rid of it
Hmm.
at their value. So when you're looking at eBay, you don't have to be the lowest. I used to always think I had to be the lowest. And I was listening to somebody on a podcast who actually said there was a study done where people don't buy the lowest. They'll buy the middle because they think there's something wrong with yours.
Yeah, and other times people don't necessarily shop by price. Some people shop by location and they'll say, oh, this one is closer to me, so I'll get it faster than if I bought it cheaper over here. That'll take maybe a week to get to me, and this one may get to me in a day or two. Because
Exactly.
I've had people tell me stuff like that too. They're like, oh, yeah,
You
I'd
know,
rather buy from someone closer because then that way I get it quicker.
because, part of what you're selling is that you're reputable, you stand behind your stuff, you're not just
Mhm.
shipping. You know, I, always take into account what people think. I never want to mislead anybody. And just like here at the store, I tell people I stand behind everything I sell. If I've misrepresented it, bring it back and I'll give you back whatever you paid for it, because it would have been an accident, not an on purpose, because I
Right,
try to get it right. But
right.
do I make mistakes? Absolutely. We all do.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we all do and we all will.
Yeah. It's, it may not even be my mistake. It may be one of my employees. So I always say, if there's an issue, always let me know. I'm more than happy to make it right for you. So
Yeah. And that's just, I think, the core of good business.
well, that's the core of being in business. Because the people who come and go,
True.
people that are just flashing the pans, just trying to sell it, make a buck. Let me tell you, I have a bracelet and I only wear it because it's my don't trust people bracelet. I had a lady screw me and I believed her because I just believed her. She said it was worth this. I couldn't find it anywhere. I wasn't familiar with it. I traded her a bracelet that was worth twice what hers was worth and gave her $500 because I bought what she said. Oh, it's this, this, this. It wasn't true. But don't ever come back to me because I'll never buy from you again.
Yeah.
If I can't trust you, I don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel the same way.
I don't
Because,
need the business that much and I don't want to be around people like that.
yes, and I go out of my way to be honest and upfront, and give a really good customer experience. So if someone can't reciprocate that, then
And
yeah,
that's
we don't.
because we're like that. We expect everybody to be like us, and they're not.
So
There's
true.
a lot of shady people, a
Yeah.
lot of shady things. Buy from somebody who's reputable. Buy, even if it's a little higher, and then don't, people make an offer. Tell me why you want to pay that. Tell me why you think it should be that. Because if
Hmm.
I can work with you, I'm going to. I want you to be happy. I love what I do. I want you to get it and love it. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to make a trip to come visit you in Florida.
you ever come?
I'll have to come visit and shop.
Have you ever come to St. Pete? St. Petersburg?
No, not recently.
St. Petersburg's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
Tampa. I don't like
Okay.
water, but St. Pete is amazing. You would love it. It's if you ever come, definitely hit me up.
Oh, I absolutely will.
And then again,
So,
we're going to be talking. And
yes, yes. So we're going to do probably a series with Lauri because I want to have her on the podcast at least once a month because she's got so much to share. So we're going to talk different eras and we're going to talk about different designs and designers.
yep,
Uh, I
absolutely.
can't wait. So we're going to have to figure out what our next topic will be. But
Exactly.
don't worry, everybody. Lauri's coming back.
Oh, I love you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. I hope if you got one nugget, one thing you didn't know out of what we talked about, it was worth your hour and 20 minutes because it's few and far
Yes.
between that people are going to share that stuff with you. I'm glad you
Yes.
know what you're doing because it really is important. There's not a resource out there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is, I mean, doing stuff like this is my passion. You know, I love jewelry and I love connecting with jewelry people.
Yep.
So,
Good
so
work.
anything I can do,
Well,
yeah, to
you're a,
support the community and to build the community and to share the knowledge, I'm all for it.
you're a benefit to the community. And if that's, that's what makes what we do fun.
Totally agree.
I can't wait to meet you in person. I loved it. We'll talk. Let me know what you want next month to be about, because it will take me a month to get prepared.
Yes, yes.
This is
Well,
my desk looks like. Believe me, I fall all the time. It's a
like
mess.
I said, to me, I would love to hang out there all day.
Oh my God, we would be dangerous.
All right, Lauri. Well, thank you so much for your time and your
Me
wealth
so
of knowledge.
I it and look forward to our next talk.
Yep, happening soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Now I have to figure out.